Okay. So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, now I can hear Dr. Worthy. Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
No worries.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Good evening, Mayor.
I know Deputy Mayor, she's just having a trouble logging on. Mr. Harris, can you have Sean call her? She's having a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I had a little bit of trouble myself.
Mayor, if I may, while we're waiting, say hello to Reverend Worthy. How you doing, sir? Good to see you, brother.
Yes, sir. Good seeing you as well.
Happy holidays, you and the family.
Happy
Oh, yeah,
holidays.
your family's on here. Oh, what a coincidence.
Exactly. Thank you.
Good evening, man.
So I did ask him to reach out to the deputy mayor.
As soon as we get Councilman Perone on, I think we can start. We have a quorum. Hello, Councilwoman Perone.
Hi,
Good evening.
everyone. Good evening.
It's 7:03. Madam Clerk, we can get started.
It is 7:03. This meeting is called to
order. Point of order, Mayor, just want to clarify that from November's meeting, ordinance 12 through 15 is from November, and resolutions 180 through 186 is from November as well. As stated, it's 7:03. This meeting is now called to order. Councilman Anderson did call out, Mayor, he is sick. Councilwoman Perone,
Present.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Present.
and I know Deputy Mayor is having some problems. We will come back to her. And Mayor McIntosh.
Present.
We will now have our prayer by Reverend Dr. Carlos Worthy, lead pastor of the Borough Church. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Let us pray. Gracious Lord, we thank you for this time. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy that has allowed us to see the last month of 2022. We ask you to watch over and cover our community. Bless and be with those who have lost loved ones and need comfort at this time, that you would show up in a mighty way. Continue to provide for those who have uncertainty where they may be able to receive the essentials of life. And then watch over and keep and be with the appointed and the elected officials as they engage in this business of the township on this evening. Cover and keep them, give them the understanding and the awareness that they need to be able to serve and come into agreement with your heart and your will for our community. We thank you for what you have done. We claim it done in the matchless and mighty name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you again, sir.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Pastor Los.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening, everyone.
You too.
Thank you. And for the record, Deputy Mayor is in.
All right,
We
we
will
can
now have our flag.
go ahead.
We will now have our flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of this meeting was provided in the following manner. On January the 10th, 2022, advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal complex and was mailed to the Burlington County Times, the Intelligencer, and the Courier Time. On January 10th, 2022, advance written notice of this meeting was filed with the township clerk. The clerk is directed to enter into the minutes of this meeting, this public announcements. And Mayor, there are no proclamations for this meeting. I turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, council colleagues, Madam Clerk, Township Manager Harris, and Mr. Taylor, and all of our residents. We will begin with our manager's municipal update. Mr. Harris, you're on.
Good evening, everyone, Mayor and council and residents. Let's start the evening off with some great news. We were notified today from the state of New Jersey that Willingboro will be receiving a $318,438 grant from the New Jersey DOT for fiscal year 2023 to do some road work on Buckingham Drive. As you know, we are doing a culvert repair there, so this will allow us to go ahead and do some further work on Buckingham Drive in 2023. Additionally to that, the State Planning Committee this afternoon approved our Route 130 corridor endorsement for Willingboro, contingent upon our approval of the proposed map and the plan implementation agreement, which will be presented to the governing body for consideration and possible adoption at our next meeting. But nonetheless, we do have 60 days to get that done. So that process has been completed, and we are hopefully will be in line with the state's plan for the Route 130 corridor for the next 10 years. Uh, just so the residents know, PSC&G has sent out a communication, kind of generally, that they will be installing new smart meters at, let me apologize that my camera was not on, that they will be installing smart meters at residents' homes, to replace the existing electric meters. So if you do receive a letter from PSC&G telling you that an employee will be contacting them to make arrangements to install smart meters, that is a legitimate letter. But of course, if anyone has a question, that I would encourage them to call PSC&G to confirm that the workers are in their particular area, and of course, ask to see any ID prior to allowing anyone to enter into your home. And if you are uncomfortable, you have every right to reject entrance until more information is provided to you where you would feel comfortable doing so. This is not a borough activity. This is a PSC&G activity, and any questions that you have should be directed to them. At the last meeting, the council had requested that I get some finances regarding the possibility of having fireworks on the 4th of July. I did poll our different departments as far as labor, manpower, and overtime costs. And based on historic events, the total township emergency and support from a non-administrative perspective would just come above $42,000. So that would be the township's cost to support fireworks on the 4th of July, above and beyond whatever the cost would be for the fireworks company. So I did send that information to you in a summary report, but that is the information that was requested. Also, at the last meeting, one of the residents had mentioned that there was a light out at Peacock and Pheasant. That light was fixed on November the 7th, so that should no longer be an issue. I do want to thank the council for making themselves available in the public as well for the 2023 budget presentations from the different departments. We have completed that process for our statutory requirements from my end, and we will continue with the 2023 budget presentation process with formal presentations to the governing body of a completed proposed budget very early in 2023. Just to advise you or update you on some of the finances in the township, our year-to-date revenue collected is $38,027,308, which represents 80% of the revenue budgeted up until the end of November in 2022. For the month of October, our revenue realized was just about $4.5 million. We did receive miscellaneous revenues that we were anticipating in the amount of $222,707. Our tax revenue equaled almost $3.4 million. We did receive a little over $500,000 in state aid and additional revenues totaling $125,568. And we received not anticipated revenue, which is called MRNA, in the amount of $353,024.14. Part of that is an additional 2023 installment for the opioid settlement that we received in the amount of $21,974, as well as $40,500 from the BPU as a 75% partial payment for the installation of our electric charging stations. And we are anticipating about $55,000 to complete that project. It's good to see that our charging stations are being utilized by the residents. When I went out this afternoon, I saw a nice black Jeep plugged in, and my understanding that other residents have been utilizing it. We are charging for non-municipal use for the charging stations. It's 18 cents a kilowatt hour, and then there is an overage charge if a resident decides they just want to go and park their car there for an extended period of time. They will be charged additionally for kind of hogging up the space. So the 18 cents per kilowatt hour is kind of the standard that's being charged throughout the state. If you want to equate that to gas prices, I think it's like $1.34, equivalent to like $4 and some change in gas. So those fees that we are currently charging will be formally put into place with our new fee ordinance, which will be coming before you for consideration at the next meeting with possible finalization early in January. Our tax office on the 19th of October did conduct a successful online auction and tax sale in accordance with NJSA 54:5. The sale was spearheaded by the tax collector, Ms. Lamar Arnold. There were 271 items that were advertised. However, 172 of those properties, my camera keeps going off. I apologize. I don't know why that's happening. As long as you can continue to hear me, though. 172 properties were removed due to payments and bankruptcy. 98 parcels were sold, and one was struck off to the municipality. At the end of the sale, $2,742,326 was collected. $285,625 was refunded to non-winning bidders, and the rest of the $2,456,701, which represents the face amount of premiums that were distributed by the municipality, some going to the tax redemption account, some going special charges, particularly the maintenance liens that we put on our properties, and interest on taxes remain as the township's portion in the current fund, $60,455. I know there was a question by a resident regarding one particular parcel of property which had the roof replaced at the expense of the township. I will let you know that that property was not paid in the tax sale. However, the mortgage company not only paid that expense to the township, but they also paid just a little over $4,000 in interest as well. So the township has been made whole on that situation from a few years ago. Our police department, we currently have 59 sworn officers. We currently have one recruited officer in the Camden County Police Academy. And we are looking to hire approximately 10 additional officers to replace quite a few that we have lost through attrition, mostly with retirements. I do want to recognize Captain Donofrio, who did retire from service after 20 years on December the 1st. It was a few months ago that the township put into place a resolution with the to utilize the option to go outside of the civil service process to possibly hire police officers. The civil service list that is currently out is quite old and a little bit picked through. It was utilized in, I think, a selection round a few months ago. So I know the police were looking for authorization to maybe utilize that process that was outlined in the resolution. Part of the agreement was that it would not be approved unless it was presented to the governing body first. and you were aware and authorized the use of that process. So Captain Perez will be available for any questions a little later on if anyone has any regarding that particular item. Related to our fire and EMS, the DCA announced their calendar year 2022 American Rescue Plan firefighter grant recipients, where they awarded $10 million to 293 fire departments in the state. I'm happy to announce that Willingboro received $49,000 to purchase fire protection, cleaning, and sanitization equipment. Willingboro was the highest award recipient in Burlington County, and the highest award being $56,000 to any single municipality with or throughout the state. And I believe there are only 3 throughout the state that received that amount. So I salute Chief Burnett for his foresight in going and making sure that we applied for that grant. And I thank the council as well for your support in approving the grant application through resolution. Regarding our leaf collection started in October of this year. To date, we have collected over 180 cubic yards, which is over 9 loads worth of leaves, or as of the end of November or October, that was the total. I'm sure it's much higher now. The collection will continue as scheduled. We ask residents to please rake their leaves to the curb to allow for the collection between now and the end of the year. There will be another collection after, it's already started, to ensure that as many leaves as possible will be picked up prior to the snow beginning to fall. As you know, the last couple of nights, it has been kind of brisk and chilly. We had our first frost the other evenings, but the zones that scheduled are on the website, and we are asking the residents to rake the leaves to the edge of the curb and not into the gutter and not within 10 feet of a storm drain. Additionally, we are asking the residents to be mindful during the holiday season, the amended schedules for trash and bulk collection. We did just go through Thanksgiving where it was modified for a day or so, and I just want to keep you mindful that it will be modified again for the Christmas and New Year's holidays as well. So again, those schedules are up on the website for your knowledge. And we are also reminding and encouraging residents to put their carts out the night before the trash collection, so they're in place when the trucks come in the morning. The trucks can arrive anytime in the township between 6 and 7 a.m. There have been some instances where they have come and complete streets have not had their trash carts out. It has happened a couple of times, and we did send letters to the residents on those streets in particular, reminding them to put their carts out the night before. And since those letters had been sent, there has been increased compliance. So I just think it may have been, a kind of an oversight. I am happy to announce that Senator Troy Singleton has planned for the Motor Vehicle Commission Real ID mobile truck to come to Willingboro. Actually, this month, they will be here for 5 days. They will be back in the early months of 2023. The truck will be parked at the JFK Center, and more information as to when they will be here is on our website. For many residents who may not know that starting in May of 2023, you must have a Real ID compliant driver's license to fly commercially within the United States, unless you use a passport or another federally approved form of identification. So if you just want to get on a plane to go from here to Georgia or Chicago or whatever, you would be required to either utilize your passport, another federally approved form of identification, or you would have to have your Real ID driver's license. So that was kind of the motivation about making it available to the residents so they could take advantage of the truck actually coming to Willingboro for that purpose. And we do thank our Senator Troy Singleton for taking Willingboro into consideration for being one of the locations. I do want to thank all the residents who came out to participate in the tree lighting ceremony that was held on Friday. It was a wonderful turnout, quite a few people. There were music performances by the Delaware Baptist Church and the Hawthorne Park Elementary School Choir. We had holiday cookies and hot chocolate were provided courtesy of the Garfield Park Academy and the Willingboro Education Association. And we just hope all of the residents had a good time, and we look forward to doing it again next year. This week, on the 9th, will be the Jingle Jam and the Teen Night at the Kennedy Center from 6 to 9 p.m. We encourage all of the younger residents to come out and take advantage of those two programs. The weeks after that, we will be having the Santa runs as we continue to move forward through this holiday season. That is about all of the items that I had on my list to bring before you this evening, Mayor. I thank you for hearing me through.
Thank you. Is there any questions or anything council would like to add to Mr. Harris's update?
Yes, I have one.
Okay, Councilman Pearl.
Yes. So, Mr. Harris, thank you for your report. I noticed that you mentioned the research for July 4th, and I wrote down 42K is what you found from the history of what it expense. Did I get that correct?
Yes, $42,374.39.
Okay, thank you for that. And thank you for following up at the next meeting. I know we had a budget meeting, so I do appreciate you following up from conversations of our last meeting, which was on, I believe, November 29th, our budget meeting. And I do recall the budget from the parade, no, not the parade, from the Parks and Recreations, and the money that was asked for this year. And last year and the prior year, I'm looking at the screen, for the Jazz Festival in 2021, the expense was $50,000. And in 2022, the expense was $50,000. And in 2023, the request is $100,000, which means they're adding another $50,000 for that expense. And I bring that up because, as I stated before, you know, I know that it seems to be a minor holiday for most of the council. But again, 4th of July is America's birthday. 4th of July represents the existence of America. I understand what happened with slavery, segregation, and all of what comes underneath the umbrella. And I respect and appreciate that we are honoring Juneteenth. However, to place $50,000 additional for the Jazz Festival and not to place $50,000 for the 4th of July is disrespectful to us as sitting council men and women, elected officials, yes, in America. I think it's disrespectful. I think the fact that we have flags that we salute to and that we place $50,000 additional for the Jazz Festival, but see it minor and a dismiss to recognize the fact of honoring and respecting the existence of our history. Like it or not, that is our history. So I'm respectfully speaking to that notion to the rest of council that is on here. I know Mr. Anderson is not here today, but he hears this meeting and he was there at the last meeting and he found it not needing to place any finances towards the 4th of July. But again, I find it disrespectful. Okay, and I'm hoping that the sitting council that is here present at this meeting, given the fact that we are a community that was designed for the veterans, yes, veterans, soldiers that placed their lives to fight for our freedom and our governance, yes, the governance that we sit beneath. I find it disrespectful that we've not placed any money towards respecting the birthday of America. So I'm hoping that in this meeting, that the 3 of the rest of the council that is sitting here will change their decision in deciding to place $50,000 towards respecting the history of America, America's birthday, July 4th. I'm hoping that you will change that. And please do not respond by asking Cherry Hill, Delran, or any other neighboring communities to sponsor it, because at the end of the day, we collect taxes from the people and the residents of Willingboro. And yes, maybe we get 3 people that speak during public comment, 3 people that speak. But at the end of the day, I can tell you right now, I am in this community. I am in a part of the churches. I'm here at part of the schools. And I can tell you right now, the decision of deciding not to honor and show appreciation to July 4th, which is what a lot of our residents have grown up on, is disrespectful. And whether or not they speak on this council meeting, I'm speaking for them. And yes, that's why I'm here. They elected me to speak. So I'm telling you right now, I find it disrespectful. So I'm hoping that you will change your decision and place the finances towards having a 4th of July parade for Willingboro, with Willingboro's finances. Next topic. Mr. Harris, I recognize that you've recognized the tree lighting that took place recently. However, we had a Veterans Day parade that was phenomenal. Yes, I was the liaison to that parade. And yes, a large amount of the community of the Willingboro residents, in addition to neighboring communities, in addition to Fox News, came out to that event. And it was a phenomenal event, regardless of the rain. So I just want to thank all of the people who participated in that event.
Well, Ms. Councilwoman Perrone, that's fine. Can you say that for your comment? Because this was his update. So
I will, but I'm speaking
okay.
that he only spoke about the Christmas tree lighting, which, by the way,
okay, so I think you have a chance to speak on the veterans. I think that is fair. He gave his municipal update.
Respectfully, Madam Mayor, the council meeting was canceled.
Correct.
Right? Was canceled 2 hours before the meeting was to begin.
Okay.
I'm seeing a notice at 3 p.m. the council meeting, which is following the Veterans Day parade. So it seems to have been forgotten. And then
that's not a fair statement. That's not forgotten. Mr. Harris provided his thing. I really think you can put it on there. I think nobody's disrespecting that.
Madam Mayor, this is my time, and I'm speaking of his report.
It's not your time.
It is my time, because his report stated past events. We had a council meeting scheduled after the Veterans Day parade. That meeting was abruptly canceled, literally 3 hours before the meeting was to begin. Then we had a budget meeting, which most people, which is going to be my next comment, most people were not aware of the budget meeting that took place. I believe it was on November 29th. So all I'm saying is that please recognize all of the events that take place, whether you spoke or not, or participated or not. The Veterans Day parade did take place. Following that parade was a council meeting. That meeting was canceled, was it not? Yes.
Obviously it was. So what's your point?
And it was canceled the day of the meeting. So all
that happens sometimes.
The only thing that I was doing was recognizing that this event did take place. And that event was to recognize our veterans of Willingboro. And there were a lot of people that participated. The McGuire Air Force Base, Burlington Township High School, a lot of the Willingboro High School, yes. Different churches came in, and all that I'm saying is in his report, he did not recognize this event, which a lot of people did participate. So that's what I was reminding him of. Okay, so I wanted to state that. And again, in closing with the July 4th, again, it is important, whether or not you appreciate what happened with history, it is something that happened, as Mr. Harris stated. We once did pay for this event, okay? And whether or not you want to vote or change your decision on whether or not recognizing July 4th in Willingboro with our budget this year, it used to happen. It used to happen. So what I'm saying is, don't do what the others have done. Yes, they've excluded a lot of things when it comes to African Americans. Yes, they have, but we don't have to follow suit. We have Juneteenth. We're recognizing the history of Juneteenth and why we're doing it here. But to obsolete and to cancel out July 4th is doing what the others have done. So I'm hoping that you will change your decision and putting, instead of $50,000 more for the Jazz Festival, put the $50,000 for the July 4th of 2023. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Councilwoman Perone. And I do want to just clarify that extra $50,000 for the request, it has not been approved. It's a request from Recreation, was because we are celebrating the 50th and 40th anniversary of some milestones for Willingboro. So I just want that clarification. Of why Recreation requested. Again, it's not approved yet. That was a request.
Okay, well,
Any other council member? Wait a minute, Councilman Perone. Any other council member? Okay.
I do have her report up here. I just wanted to comment on Madam Mayor on your response. I do have the report that was submitted on the budget presentation from the Parks and Recreation. And it does not say $50,000 for the park. And again, I don't understand exactly why we're celebrating Mill Creek Park. It's a park. Okay, it's a park. There's grass, there's trees, there's parks, and it actually needs to be renovated. So honestly, if you want to put money towards it, fix the park at the end of the day.
That's part of a conversation when we determine the budget.
What I'm saying is July 4th, America's birthday. America's birthday. Understand what I'm saying. Veterans celebration that we all participated in. $50,000. $50,000 for the Jazz Festival, because that's what it says.
That's a request. Yes, that is the request. And you're going to keep going in a circle.
Right. No,
we understand your point that you can't.
Right.
We understand your point. I mean, whether we say that we understand, we do understand your point.
I wanted to clear that because you said you were correcting what I stated. So I wanted to.
No, I said I want to clarify what their request was. That was their request, and why during conversation, during the meeting, that's what they indicated that they were requesting. There's going to be a vote whether we approve that or not. That is not approved at this point, but they were justifying their budget request.
Okay, respectfully understood. And that's all that I was saying, because I know it's not been approved, and that's why I stated tonight that I hope that the three of you will change your decision.
I know, but you keep saying that, and then that's up to us. We understand that. That's up to us whether we change that.
I'm aware that it's not been approved. That's why this is my time to speak to you, right, as a councilwoman, and to hope that I can change your decision. So you can like me or not, but that is my position as a sitting councilwoman. I am advocating for July 4th, and I'm stating the reason why. So you have $50,000 additional for the Jazz Festival. And like I said, it says the Jazz Festival, okay? $50,000 more, and not to put it towards July 4th. And as Mr. Harris stated, $42,000 is what was spent the most recent as his research. So again, diversity. We're not, yes, we may be a majority African-American community, but there are other people here. We are a melting pot of America, as we all know. So all I'm saying is, let's not try to, what we're doing is good as far as the Juneteenth, recognizing what happened with our history, but to eliminate the other, it's where we are wrong. We're wrong.
Okay, and respectfully, you keep saying eliminating when it wasn't here. For the longest time, you've been on council longer than us, and in your term, it has not been a July 4th prior to us even getting on. So it's your messaging that's a little off in terms of, you're saying we're eliminating. If we choose, and that you're gonna have to make a motion later on. Again, even though it died last time, if you want to re-put it on, that's your prerogative.
motion-
However, the emphasis right now as to how the rest of council's unpatriotic by not re-adding it is the wrong messaging that you're saying. Just say you are pro July 4th. That's fine. Nobody's arguing with you that. And we have other things to look at in terms of budgeting, whether we are in agreement or not. And it's simple, but you keep putting our patriotism on the line. You're putting a lot of things on the line when if you want to keep the same standard you were guilty of from 2017 up until now. So I just don't think it's a fair statement that you're saying that we're eliminating July 4th as if it's a current event that we host and we're just eliminating it. That's all I'm saying. You put it on the line, you put it in front of the council that you want July 4th. We hear you, that you keep saying it, but I understand exactly what you're saying. I can say yes or no, but I do understand what you're saying. I hear you.
Right, and I'm not first of all, I'm not eliminating July 4th. Mr. Harris, again, some of what you say, Madam Mayor, is disturbing because we just heard Mr. Harris state $42,000 was spent on July 4th. He didn't mention it last year, but
That's not what I said, man. That's not what I said.
That's why I said, let me get clarity before I spoke.
Said based on
42,000. Go ahead.
Based on prior experience, it would cost about $42,374 to provide support, emergency and non-administrative support. I did not say that's what the cost of the fair or the 4th of July would be. And the $50,000 that you keep referring to, the Jazz Fest costs almost $200,000. The $50,000 is only a request from the Recreation Department as additional startup monies. Last year, there was discussions about hiring musicians and things prior to or earlier in the year so that we could take advantage of cheaper pricing and things like that. It's part of our ability to do that is we would require a little additional monies, startup monies in the budget. We weren't adding or just supplementing the expense of the Jazz Festival by $50,000. We were just asking for additional seed money to get the ball rolling.
Okay, Mr. Harris, again, so your vocabulary is very interesting. So we will just use your vocabulary. Prior experience, is it your experience for prior? Where are you getting prior experience from? Just so I understand. When you say, because I said history, but you said prior experience. So let me use your words, right?
So I reached
prior
out
experience, Mr. Harris, before you answer the question, I want to make sure my question is clear. So you said prior experience, it was $42,000 for a July 4th celebration, which we know that you just got here. So prior experience, Mr. Harris, where are you getting that prior experience?
So, Councilwoman, you're correct. I just got here, but you have a director of DPW who has been here for
Mr.
almost
Harris,
20 years. I'm answering your question.
please.
You have a fire chief who has been here. You have had a director of public safety that has been here. I polled them and I asked them, based on their experience, what do they feel that we would need regarding man-hour, materials, and overtime to host a 4th of July celebration? I got responses from DPW who said they would require 8 men over 12-hour period equal $4,255.56. They would require about $4,000 worth of material for a total DPW expense of $8,255.56. Fire and EMS said that they would need between 12 and 14 firefighters and EMS workers and 10 to 12 fire police at a total of $5,000. And the police said their total cost would be approximately $29,118.83, which would include man hours and overtime, for a total of $42,374.39. That was not my experience. That was the experience of the directors that have been here for many years in Willingboro.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna just summarize all of that to history. Okay, history of 4th of July in Willingboro. Can we agree to that, Mr. Harris? History of 4th of July in Willingboro, and we don't need to go through the police, the fire. History of Willingboro, based off your research meaning you communicated with the fire, the police, and all of what you just stated. Please do not state it again. I'm going to call it history of 4th of July. Can we agree to that, Mr. Harris, so I can continue?
Can we
Let's
agree to what?
continue,
Okay,
Councilman Perone,
okay, so
continue
we
to
can
move on
agree,
with the
we can
meeting.
agree, we can agree, because I don't want anybody to say that I'm saying something
Can we
different.
agree to what?
Because it's the history of the 4th of July, and based off your research, that's what I said before, and I'm saying it again, after hearing again your breakdown. Based off the history of your research, it was approximately $42,000.
To
I am
support that
looking-
event,
Excuse me?
to support that event.
Yes.
And
that-
understand
the
that that's
July
not a hard
14th.
number, because you have to understand that anyway.
Got
But
it. You
Yeah, let's
didn't
let her
say anything
finish,
wrong.
Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris, you didn't say anything wrong. I just want to
Okay.
make sure I'm clear and that we have the same conversation. Based off the history of July 4th and your research, by collaborating and communicating with your department.
No, because you keep
No.
saying the history of July 4th. I'm saying the history of other types of events.
Other types of events. Okay, all right, let's just go with other types of events right now. So the point is $42,000 is what it will cost. I have like 4 screens in front of me.
Point of
I'm
order,
looking-
is there?
No point of order. I'm sorry, no.
Order.
I'm looking at
Taylor,
the
there's no
presentation.
point of order.
I'm looking at the
Go
presentation
ahead, Deputy
from
Mayor.
Parks and Recreation. and
Excuse me,
it says-
Councilwoman
it
Perone,
says-
excuse me,
it says-
Councilwoman Perone.
I'm sorry. I will not be interrupted. I will not be interrupted.
But the deputy
I will
mayor
not
is
be-
in
I will
line by
not be
asking for a
interrupted.
point of
I
order,
will
that's all.
not be interrupted. I
That's all.
will not be interrupted. I'm very sorry. I listened to Mr. Harris twice of the whole breakdown,
You
and I'm
listen to
telling
you
you right
4
now, I'm
times.
sorry that Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry, you're also not going to interrupt me at this time. I'm looking at the
actually will,
presentation.
because
I'm
you
looking
said
at
the same
the budget. I'm looking at
Yes,
Deputy
sir.
Mayor,
There
please
is
be
no
quiet.
motion.
Please be
There's a
quiet.
point of
Deputy
order on
Mayor.
the table,
Please be
Councilwoman
quiet,
Perone.
Deputy Mayor. I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor.
With
that
Robert's
you're not.
rules
I'm
of
sorry,
order,
Deputy Mayor. I am
asking
speaking,
for
Deputy Mayor. I'm sorry.
So-
Okay, I'm looking at. I hope we can have a more productive meeting as soon as you stop interrupting me. I'm looking at public events presentation from Recreation Department that we got last week, and it said public events jazz festival by itself. Jazz festival. It says $50,000 additional. Then we have on the next line, public events, Juneteenth, they're asking for an additional $5,000. I can go through the rest, but I want to correct everyone. So please do not misinterpret what I'm saying and what I'm reading, okay? You want to add $50,000 more. And like I said, I'm looking at it. 2021 for the Jazz Festival was $50,000. 2022 for the Jazz Festival was $50,000. 2023, which is coming up if we all live to it, you're asking for $100,000, which means a difference of $50,000. So
That is a
please,
request that
none
has
of you,
to be
Deputy Mayor, please, again, you do not have the floor. Deputy Mayor,
You took that
you
point
do
of
not
order.
have
She
the
does
floor.
have this. She has a
Deputy
point of
Mayor,
order.
please,
She
you do
does.
not have the floor. You
She
do
does.
not have the floor. You do not have the floor, Deputy Mayor.
And these are
Please be
requests that have
quiet.
been made.
Again,
that have not been
$50,000, again, just for clarity, please,
It
Deputy
is-
Mayor, you do not have the
these
floor.
are already
Again,
voted.
Deputy
Budget
Mayor, you
is
keep talking. I don't know why. I don't know why you keep talking, Deputy Mayor. You do not have the floor. Deputy Mayor, you do not have the
Councilwoman
floor.
Perone, can I just ask a question?
No, again.
Councilwoman, may I just ask a question?
I'm going to get out what I'm saying. So if all of you keep talking, it's going to take long. Again, Deputy Mayor, please be quiet. Yes, thank you. You're on mute now. Again. So like I said, Mr. Harris, again, keep talking again. I'm not sure why Deputy Mayor is talking. You do not have the floor. Deputy Mayor, you do not have the floor.
She has the floor. That's what I'm trying to, she does have the floor, Councilwoman
It will
Peron.
take longer than it needs to. It will take longer than it needs to. Again, for clarity.
It's already taken longer
Okay,
than.
Deputy Mayor, you're talking again.
For
You're
30
talking
minutes
again.
about
You're
something
talking again. You're
that is
speaking again. You do not have the floor. Deputy
I'm-
Mayor, please be quiet. You keep talking. You keep talking. Deputy Mayor, you keep talking. You keep talking. Again, $50,000 is what I'm speaking to. And what I'm saying to you is, if it costs approximately $42,000 for July 4th, what I'm saying is, instead of putting $50,000 on a jazz festival, which already received $50,000 from the past few previous years, why don't you put $50,000 to celebrate the birth of America, regardless of your personal feelings? Because when you get elected to council, you are not personal. You are a township representing different different organizations and different races and in the community. So you must not only centralize it to Black African American, which I am both African American and Latina. Okay, so what I'm saying is, please listen to that. And again, vote how you want to vote. And I will make an motion later, but I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm reading or what I'm saying. So Mr. Harris to interrupt me and say, oh, he didn't say that, this is what he said. That's why I needed to clarify while I was being interrupted by several people during my speaking. I do not like that. I prefer to speak without interruption. When any of you speak, I do not interrupt you. I listen and then I speak. So do the same respect for me as well. Again, vote how you want. If you don't recognize the birth of America and you don't want to put any money towards it, then that's how you vote. I've concluded
Okay, so
my
that's how
statement.
we'll vote. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Harris, you can proceed on to the ordinances and resolutions, please.
The ordinance is being presented to you for public hearing and final or possible adoption is ordinance number 12, which is amending chapter 370 in the zoning, additional regulations to reflect update permission on having 2 accessory structures of different types permitted on each lot with no changes in the square footage or height. If you recall, Mr. Tunstall in his presentation, that it was just allowing like a gazebo and a shed on the property instead of just like 2 sheds or 2 gazebos. Ordinance number 13, again, being presented for a second hearing of possible adoption, amending current chapter fees 150-6 of the Uniform Construction Code, amending to include additional fees for plan review, revision, resubmission at $70 per subcode. When someone comes in and submits a plan, they get charged a fee, but sometimes they revise those plans and resubmit it. We have not been charging for the review of the revisions and the resubmissions, but we will begin at $70 per subcode. Ordinance number 14, amending chapter 15.5 fences, section 155-3, regarding regulations and standards to add the standard to remove existing fence prior to installation of new fencing. So you have to remove the old fence before putting up a new fence, specifically regarding the perimeter of a property. That does not preclude you from having an inner fence like around a pool or anything like that. Ordinance number 15, which again, public hearing and final reading, is amending the current chapter 272 articles regarding registration of vacant properties. Legislation update, which really was designed to clarify certain definitions of what a creditor was and what the vacant property is as far as their definitions. And ordinance number 16 being presented to you is an ordinance establishing employee reimbursement agreements and township repayment obligations in pursuit of certifications or licenses. There are times when the township will send an employee for training where they will receive a CERT certification or a license. And then we're just requiring them to either reimburse the township for those expenses or commit to a certain period of employment after receiving those certifications. As the way it is now, they could receive a certification and pack up and leave tomorrow and go to another municipality, and Willingboro would have footed the bill. The resolutions, I'm going to ask that resolution number 180 be withdrawn from your consideration. That resolution was to authorize the township to enter into a contract with Municipal Emergency Services because of certain grants and a company that was out of business coming back into business. We are no longer going to need to increase I'm having a blank here. The limits to which we can purchase under this contract because we will be utilizing a different vendor to purchase the equipment for the fire department. Resolution number 181 is authorizing the township to award a contract for custodial services for Willingboro Township buildings. Our custodial contract is up at the end of this year. We did go out to bid. Our lowest bidder came in about $40,000 cheaper than our previous bid, and we are quite happy that it was a Willingboro resident that won the bid. It is a Black-owned and female-owned company that won the bid. Not that that had any integral part of the consideration. Bids go to the lowest responsible bidder, but it's a bonus that it was a Willingboro resident who will be utilizing Willingboro employees in the cleaning of our municipal buildings. Resolution 182, authorizing the ratification of a successor agreement between the Township of Willingboro and the Burlington County Firefighters Association, IFF Local 3091, the superior officers. We negotiated a contract with the superior officers. The contract is pretty much going to remain consistent with what it has been in the previous years, and they will recognize the same pay increases that the regular firefighters did receive in 2020 or in this new contract renewal. Resolution 183, authorizing the township to place municipal charges on certain properties for failing to address property maintenance violations. This is something that's pretty current in town. When people don't maintain their properties, we will go out and maintain those properties, and then we will put a lien on those properties, which was part of the redemption that we were speaking about a little earlier in the tax sale. Resolution 184 is establishing a not to exceed amount for the zoning board solicitor and engineer. I do want to point out just one minor correction in resolution number 84. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the seventh whereas, the total not to exceed amount for the contract is $19,500. In the sixth whereas, it was written as $14,500 and $6,000 respectively. That $6,000 should be $5,000 to equal the $19,500. That was just a typo, and it wasn't realized until just a little earlier this week. Resolution number 185 is establishing a not to exceed amount for the planning board solicitor and engineer. Just so you have a little understanding of the significance of these resolutions, the planning board has authority to appoint their own solicitor and engineer. However, the township has an obligation to provide the funding for those mechanisms, and we are simply establishing a not to exceed amount of $19,500 for the engineer and the attorneys for those two entities. Resolution number 186 is authorizing the vouchers for payment and ratification. Resolution number 188 is authorizing a refund of overpayment of taxes for the month of November 2022. Resolution 189, I am going to ask that the council, we withdraw that from consideration at this meeting. It was requested that we do a little research in this matter, and we are actually having a preliminary discussion with the county regarding leaf collection. So I am going to ask that that be just withheld until a future date. Resolution number 190 is authorizing the Township of Willingboro to enter into contract with Riggins, Inc. as approved contract participant in the New Jersey State approved purchasing cooperative for fuel. As you know, in 2022, the fuel cost kind of went through the roof. We exceeded our budgeted expenditures, and we did need to increase that for the remainder of this year. I do want you to know that although the increased costs go up, we are very conscious of fuel costs in the township, and we are encouraging the conservation of fuel through turning that thermostat down a little bit in our municipal buildings, encouraging the different police and fire and DPW to be a little conscientious about leaving vehicles idle and using them excessively. We use the same fuel that everyone uses for their home and put in their lawnmowers and things like that. So the township feels the same pain when it comes to fuel prices as well as everyone else. I will say that we are continuing to investigate the utilization of hybrid type vehicles. We did order 2 that were funded through our capital budget in this year. Those vehicles have been ordered, and we are waiting on delivery of them. And I believe they are slated to be delivered to us in March of 2023. So we haven't gotten them yet, but they are on the way. Resolution 191 is the budget transfers of the Township of Willingboro to meet the requirements for operating the affairs of the township. Council, a budget is exactly that. It's a budget of what we expect to receive and what we expect to expend. Sometimes we have over expenditures in one account and we have under expenditures in another account. And this is just transferring those under expenditures to cover the over expenditures. So we have balance in all of our different sub budget accounts. Resolution 192 is Chapter 159 resolution providing for the insertion of special items of revenue in the 2022 budget pursuant to New Jersey statutes. We did receive, as I mentioned before, the $40,500 from the BPU as reimbursement for part of the installation of our electric charging stations. Those monies were not anticipated at the time of budget adoption, so we are asking that they be inserted into the 2022 budget so they can be utilized in the payment of the expenses related to the installation of those charging stations. Resolution 193 is a resolution authorizing the township through the Willingboro Police Department to participate in the Defense Logistic Agency Law Enforcement Support Office 1033 program. What that is that the federal government has a lot of surplus products that they don't utilize, tanks and vehicles and certain drones and other equipment that they look to get rid of. They offer them to local law enforcement agencies and municipal governments to the opportunity to purchase those surplus products. Willingboro has taken advantage of that in the past, but part of their requirement is you have to maintain your eligibility, and that is through an application process, and that requires a resolution of the governing body, your approval to go ahead and continue to participate in the program. It is not saying that we are going to purchase anything. There's nothing slated for that. It is just allowing us to stay a viable member on their active list, in case anything does come up in the future that may be of interest. Then we would be able to take advantage of that source or resource to purchase or acquire whatever relevant piece of equipment, hopefully at a discounted price. And then again, Resolution 194 is approving additional vouchers for payment and ratification. And those are all of the items that are being presented to you for consideration this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harris. I'm now going to open the floor for public comment for agenda items only. This is for any questions or comments for any of these resolutions or any of the resolutions. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes.
All right, Sarah Holly.
Hello, council. It's been a minute since I've been on here. So I do have a question about Mr. Harris's comment about the redemption program. Now, I've had some questions about our tax dollars being used to redeem anybody's property. Someone's uncle, someone's aunt, someone's this, someone's that. So tax dollars, from what I understand, are going to be used to redeem somebody else's property. I'm not in favor of that. Let them redeem their own property. I had to take a loan to redeem my property, and I keep saying this. And when I come back, I'm going to talk about that roof and find out how much money we got back and how much interest we realized on that roof that was redeemed.
Just a little over $4,000. I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
Just a little over $4,000 in interest.
Okay, so I need to put in a request for the receipts for copy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holly.
All right, Beulah Williams.
Ms. Williams, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. This is Beulah Williams from 8 Botany Circle. I just want to let our township manager know how much we appreciate his comprehensive report. I learned a lot and I appreciate the work you're doing. I appreciate our mayor, deputy mayor. I appreciate your keeping calm and, because I don't want us going back down the dark roads we were at before. So I appreciate what's going on. I appreciate you. Keep doing the work, keeping clear heads and doing the work of the Lord. And your community, which is Willingboro, will be greatly appreciated for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You're welcome.
All right, Ariane Nixon.
Ms. Nixon, if you're speaking, you're on mute. You're still on mute. We can't hear you if you are speaking.
Thank you. It's now giving me an option for unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Ariane Nixon. I reside in Pennypacker Park. I sent a question to the panel. This is the first time I've joined this council meeting. So I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear my concern. I am one of many, as I had written in my my question tonight, who attends the JF Kennedy Center for activities that go on in the evenings. And I see that when I attend, there are many activities that take place at the center. However, the parking lots are very dark. There's probably about 15 lamp poles I've driven past to count them, and there's between 8 to 10 that are out. So the parking lots are extremely dark when we walk out. I am a part of a Thai Bo group, so there are about 23 to 25 ladies each evening, 3 days a week. And we walk out there and we're walking to our cars, and there are other people who are standing around at that time because they're exiting their activities. But it's just it just feels very unsafe. And many of us are very concerned about that issue. So I have called the recreation center, haven't gotten anywhere. I've spoken with security, and now I'm bringing it to you guys, hoping that we could get this resolved.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nixon. This portion of the agenda is public comment for agenda items only. We will address your concern at our public comment, which is right after we finish voting on the resolutions and after some business that we handle. We'll open it back up for public comment for anything. But this portion was just public comment for agenda items. But I do see your question, and we will address it in this meeting.
Okay, so I'll just stay on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry.
No
for
problem.
The order.
No
coming out of
problem.
order. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other comments or questions for agenda items only? Okay, we have one.
We have Edward.
Yeah, name is Edward Leslie, 1 Peacock Lane. I'm calling about the two sheds, one shed limit that's being imposed on Willingboro. Is that going to be an inspection on if you have a fence shed? They're going to come and take the shed down or fine you? How is that going to be enforced?
Are you talking about ordinance number 12?
I did not write the ordinance, but the one mentioned that you only allow one shed in your yard.
Okay. All right. After we close public comment, we the township manager will answer you. Thank you, Mr. Edward.
Thank you.
Any other comments for agenda items only? Public comment for agenda items is now closed. Mr. Harris, I think there's two you can answer. It's the Ms. Holly. I'm trying to see which resolution she was referring to. And also for, I guess, the additional clarification for the additional sheds. Shed and structures, I should say.
So Ms. Holly, I believe, was referring to the information in my report regarding the tax sale, where we redeemed a certain amount of revenue. And then she also was referring to the resolution where we're putting liens on properties for individuals who have violations, and then we have gone on and remediated those violations. That is something that is provided in the township's ordinance. So if there is a vacant property next to someone's home where the grass has not been cut for months, and it is not being readily addressed by the property owner, the township will go and front the expense of cutting the grass but then we go and put a lien on the property to recoup our expenses. So it's not that we're just, going and remediating people's property. We're doing this in a kind of an effort to keep Willingboro a, attractive and viable community. And I understand the situation, which was an unfortunate situation that happened with the roof. But I know that it is the sentiment of this governing body that that type of situation never repeats itself. And I don't believe that it will. But there are additional, situations that do arise that may require municipal attention to keep Willingboro a good-looking community, and remediate some issues. But again, whenever we do expend those funds, we do put the liens on the property to recoup those funds. And we have learned that people are more apt to cure a property lien than to respond to a court summons and pay a fine. So, we have had great success with recouping our upfront costs. And, as long as this is an acceptable process, then we will continue to do so. And Mr. Leslie asked about the 2 shed limit. So currently you have to go get a permit to have accessory structures on your property. So that would be kind of controlled through the permitting process. And of course, if anybody were to go ahead and build a shed without obtaining a permit, then code enforcement would go and provide them with a violation, with an opportunity to cure that violation, whatever that cure may be.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Harris.
You're welcome.
And I guess I don't know if you just answered it. I guess he did ask, so what if there are 2 sheds? Does somebody come and remove them? Is there a fee or a fine if somebody has 2 of the same structure?
So if it was discovered that someone had 2 of the same structure, they would get a violation from the code enforcement officer. I can't say specifically what they would require them to do to cure that, but whatever it is, then they would be obligated to do that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, you can proceed.
Ordinance 2022-12, this is the public hearing, amending chapter 370 zoning 370-13, additional regulation to reflect update permissions on having 2 accessory structures of different types permitted on each lot. No change in square footage or height. This is public hearing for ordinance 2022-12. Public hearing is now open. Host, you see anyone?
Not at this time.
Public hearing is now closed. This is the final reading for ordinance 2022-12, amending chapter 370 zoning 370-13, additional regulation to reflect update permissions on having 2 accessory structures of different types permitted on each lot. No change in square footage or height. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second, moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Mayor McIntosh. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perrone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-13, this is public hearing. Amend current chapter fees 150-6, Uniform Construction Code fees. Amend to include additional fee for plan review revision resubmission, $70 per subcode. This is public hearing. Public hearing is now open. Host,
I don't see anyone.
public hearing is now closed. This is the final reading for ordinance 2022-13, amend current chapter fees 150-6, Uniform Construction Code fee. Amend to include additional fee for plan review revision, resubmission, $70 per subcode. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second, moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Mayor McIntosh. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
This is public hearing for ordinance 2022-14. Public hearing amend current chapter 15.5 fences 155-3 regulations and standard to add the standard to remove existing fence prior to installation of new fencing. Public hearing is now open. Host,
Don't see any hands raised.
public hearing is now closed. This is the final reading for ordinance 2022-14, amend current chapter 15.5, fences 155-3, regulations and standard to add the standard to remove existing fencing prior to installation of new fencing. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second, moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Mayor McIntosh. Any discussion? Mr. Harris, I do have a question about this. Is it practical when someone's trying to put a fence up that they remove their existing fence? And I'm just thinking that if someone has a dog or something going on in the backyard, that they still need some safety measures in place to prohibit, any animals or something, to keep the privacy of their yard while they're building a fence. Maybe I'm missing why we have to do this. Or what's the request?
Yeah, Mayor, you are correct. The intent of the ordinance is to have the fence removed. Now, it says to remove the fence prior to installation, because usually individuals will run a fence along the exterior perimeter of the property line. So unless their intention is to install the fence inside of the fence and then remove the fence, they more likely than not won't be able to install the fence on the outside because they would have exceeded the footage allotment. So theoretically, it would make sense for them to remove the fence and then install the new fence. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be, all at one time, section by section, but it really is to make sure that there are no two double fences on the property kind of at the same time. If it doesn't happen, right then, okay, but the underlying intention is to have the one fence removed and then have the second fence installed. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I'm just looking at the practicality of that. Like if I had a fence and I wanted to keep my privacy while putting another fence in, I'd see the intention of making sure there's not two fences at one time. I do understand that, but in the process, it seems, maybe it might be some issues removing a fence and then putting up a fence. From just what I'm thinking about.
Mr. Harris, is there an inspection that's done after a fence is installed?
Yes.
So could we reword this ordinance in order for it to say that the fence, the second fence must be removed prior to inspection or final inspection versus prior to a new fence being installed?
Which is possible, but if you are permitted to put a fence within 5 feet off of your property line, then you install a new fence, then you could be 4 feet off of the property. You can't be 4 feet off the property line. You could be 6 or 7 feet off of the property line. But if your intent was to remain on that 5-foot mark, it would be kind of difficult for you to put a fence where a fence already exists.
So that's, I guess, what's happening now that this was presented, what's happening, because I guess I'm under the understanding that if you're putting a fence, it would go in within your property line. And I know some people, a lot of people who have put fences up now that it's, maybe, I don't know if it's a foot or inches within their property line. I haven't come across, and I know inspections would have more experience than I do, but I'm under the assumption that people do put their fences within their property line. And they wouldn't be allowed to put a fence outside their property line regardless.
I don't have any statistical information to say yes, that's the case, or no, that's the case.
Okay.
If the footage is 5 feet, then I don't have any data to say that people put their fences 5 feet 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Tunstall or someone in the department, but, again, if you, wish to modify the language, it doesn't necessarily have to be adopted tonight. It can be tabled, and then we can review or the language and discuss it at the next meeting.
Is there any discussion from other council members on this? Dr. Worthy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just listening to the conversation, and I think feedback from a resident during a previous call or meeting that talked about maintaining a fence around a pool or around a hot tub or around a dog while they had the larger fence around the property. So I do see there, being occasions where there are two fences up for different purposes on the property. As the administration looks at the language, Mr. Harris, would you say that the residents who have a requirement to fence in their pool or their dog, would they be in violation of this ordinance if it's passed as written?
Well, Mr. Tunstall is available to answer these questions. So if you wouldn't mind, I would bring him on and answer those questions if the council has no objection to that.
Have no objection.
I have no objection.
No objection.
Sean, could you bring Mr. Tunstall into the meeting, please?
All right.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
All right. So the intent of this is it has nothing to do with fences around pools or fences where there are kennels involved. Mm-hmm. This is when a perimeter fence, for example, a lot of people have an old cyclone fence that may be on the perimeter, and you want to put up a nice wooden fence or a vinyl fence. All it is stating is that you must remove that cyclone fence or that older fence and put up the new fence. It can be done after the fence is put up, but 9 times out of 10, the fence is removed and then a fence is put up. But there are situations where an individual might leave the old cyclone fence up or old fence up, wooden fence, whatever, and put a fence inside of it, making for a very unsightly situation where grass and everything grows between those two fences, and it causes a problem. So I don't have a problem with adjusting the verbiage to state remove prior to final inspection to protect any situation where, as you stated, about privacy and or a dog not wanting to run free. As long as it's done before the final inspection, the order in which it transpires is not that important.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. I'm in agreement with that.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
No problem there.
Thank
I have a
you.
question for Dennis. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Councilman Perone.
With regards to the fence, Dennis, thank you for explaining that. With regards to the fence, should it be, does it matter if it's on the rough side or the smooth side of the property?
So you're referring to, for example, a wooden fence where you would have the more cosmetically acceptable side pointed towards your neighbor. The common practice is to show the pleasant side to your neighbor, and you have the side where, or for example, there might be some beams or other structure support for the fence. There is no ordinance, and it is not written in stone that it must be that way, but that is the common practice. And it's for a practical reason. If you have the supporting structure on the exterior side, it makes it more easy for someone to climb the fence versus having the smooth side, which is finished on the exterior facing the outside. So your question is answered by saying, we don't govern that, but it is a common practice to have the more presentable side facing your neighbor.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? So, Madam Clerk, do we have to adjust the?
I had a question for Mr. Taylor. That would not be considered a substantial change, correct?
Correct. I agree with you.
Okay. Then we had a motion and a second, so I guess maybe reword the motion to with the changes stated by you all.
Correct. That'd be fine.
Okay. So you want us to retract our second in motion?
No, you just basically you're amending, as long as the mover and second are okay with the amendments, it can be voted on again as amended.
So I amend the motion to include the language to update the ordinance that Mr. Tunstall stated about the fence being removed by the final inspection.
Second. Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Mayor McIntosh. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield?
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh?
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-15, this is the public hearing. Amend current chapter 272, Article 5, registration of vacant property legislation update PL 2021 C.444, in which definition of creditor and vacant property has changed. Public hearing is now open. Host?
I don't see anything right now.
Public hearing is now closed. This is the final reading for ordinance 2022-15. Amend current chapter 272, Article 5, registration of vacant properties legislation update PL 2021 C.444, in which definition of creditor and vacant property has changed. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
This is the first reading for ordinance 2022-16, ordinance establishing employee reimbursement agreement and township repayment obligation in pursuit of a certification or license. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-181, resolution authorizing the Township of Willingboro to award a contract for
That one's been I'm sorry, point of order, that's been withdrawn.
No, resolution 180 was withdrawn.
Now, which one did you say? I'm sorry, 181?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I apologize. But I'd like to make a motion for consent agenda of resolution 181 through 188 and resolution 190 through 193. I want 194.
Second.
What is your motion?
I motion for a consent agenda for resolutions 181 through 188
Okay.
and then 190 through 194.
Okay, so I have an objection for one. Would you like for
Okay.
us to just say vote on the consent and then say discussion, which one to pull out?
Oh, well, we can pull it out now and I can restate my motion.
Okay, so the one that I'm looking at is 181. If we
Okay.
can pull that one. And then everything else.
Everything else is,
And then 189, and just forgive me, I believe Mr. Harris said that he wanted to pull 189 regarding the leaf vacuums, is that right?
yeah, that's withdrawn, yes,
Withdrawn. And so you said 190 through
through 194.
190. Let me just. Yeah, I think I'm okay. That was the only one. I have a question.
So I'll
181, that's all.
I'll restate my motion. I'll motion a consent agenda for resolution 182 through 188 and resolution 190 through 194.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes,
Resolution, continue, Mayor.
correct. Yes, please.
Oh, we did the consent agenda and now we need to
Approve it. Right.
approve it.
Yes.
I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Continue, Mayor.
Yes, please.
Resolution 2022-181, resolution authorizing the Township of Willingboro to award a contract for custodial services contract for the Willingboro Township Building. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion, please? Councilwoman Perone?
So the custodial contract, I've been speaking about this since I've been on council. And how I do recognize that this new company is, I want to say approximately $200,000 less. I did propose the idea of employing our residents to do the custodial works for Willingboro. And now we're here a month before January, and again, it's something that I'm passionate about, being that primarily my concern, my heart is for the Willingboro residents. So custodial type of work is something that can be done by, you know, a male or female, and we spend, you know, right now on the agenda it says $340,000 to pay an external company to clean the buildings of Willingboro. And, you know, we've not built any new buildings. And as I stated before, it's the same buildings. So what I've asked before, and I will ask again, is why aren't we looking to employ residents of Willingboro to clean the buildings? And as we know, you know, we require taxes to be paid by the people who live here. But the people who live here they also have families, and it's something that a person who lives here could do. And in our last year conversation, 2022, approximately December, we talked about it would take approximately 9 employees, salary, health benefit, and I was all for it. And I said, yes, 9 employees means 9 different people that live in Willingboro, and we are able to pay them a salary, and they're also able to have health benefits. So I've not seen anything as far as a document that shows, you know, an idea other than what we have today before us. I've not seen a resolution that says we're going to hire 9 people to do this type of a work. I remember the conversation is that somebody needs to have a specific certification to clean up. I think it was some sort of black certification where they would be more specific, and they would be able to clean up feces or blood and have a specific certification. Black seal, I think that's what it's called, Black Seal. And again, we have just reviewed some of our presentations from different departments, whereby our departments are trained to have certain certifications. So again, this is an area of avenue where I'm asking for council to reconsider and employ the people that live here, allow them to get the certification for this type of work. Last year, it was explained that, well, we have to vote for it because then we won't have anybody to clean the building. But at what point is it appropriate where we actually move into preparing for people to work here in Willingboro to clean the buildings? So I'm bringing this again to the council's attention that this item, I am partially in objection to, because 1, I know we need the buildings clean, but number 2, nothing still has been done. And I know the 3 of you have been on council. This will be your 4th year. You would have to run again for re-election in January. However, it's been 4 years, and I continue to bring this before you, whereby can we employ the people that live in Willingboro, the people that we require taxes from, to give them an opportunity to work in Willingboro for something like custodial? Now, it doesn't require.
Councilwoman Ferrone, did you hear the conversation though? It's a Willingboro residents company.
So regardless if it's the Willingboro residents company, what I'm talking about is if it's a township's position, just like a township position such as Public Works, such as the clerk's office, a position that is underneath the umbrella of the township, it differentiates from whereby we are employing our residents just because one person who lives in Willingboro owns this company, you said it's you said it's an employee, it's a resident of employee that owns this company, but I'm speaking about, it used to be that way. According to my research, it was before I was here in Willingboro, came in 2005. It used to be where these buildings were cleaned by people who lived in Willingboro. We paid them a salary, and I'm just trying to get it back to there, where we employ people that live here instead of spending this amount of money for one individual or company, whereby they're paying their employees, wherever those employees come from. We don't have control over that. Can we employ people in Willingboro to clean our buildings? That's what I'm asking the council. Do I have a motion? It's a motion to, yes, council deputy mayor, to employ our residents to be the custodial department of our township. So it will be underneath, I guess, Public Works. That's what it sounds like it would be as far as I was the township manager.
Deputy Mayor, you had something to add to the conversation?
Yes, I was going to ask Mr. Harris, is it a requirement that all employees of the township live in the township?
No, there is not. We are a civil service community. So if we were to employ taking on custodial services, that would have to be a civil service posting that would be open to residents of Willingboro first, and then residents of Burlington County, and then the state. But if we weren't able to employ enough personnel to do the work in the buildings, that could be problematic. The contractor that we are about to award a contract to, I believe 9 of her 10 employees are Willingboro residents. So we are essentially killing 2 birds with 1 stone by not taking on the additional burdens of employing 9 or 10 additional staff. It's not just as simple as saying, 9 people from Willingboro. Those 9 people that now we have to provide pension benefits to, and healthcare to, and cover the uniform expenses to, and we have to have supervisors for. And I'm sure they will be unionized, and subsequent pay increases, and when they call out, you have to cover those shifts and all of these other things that come along with, hiring additional workforce. That essentially, those kind of obligations are shifted to the employer. Councilwoman was talking about a black seal. A black seal is a boiler license that is required for our buildings when you have a facility with a boiler. And I believe if there are more than 10 occupants, then you have to have someone with a black seal license. The company is providing employees with black seal licenses. What she was referring to about cleaning up blood and feces, that's bloodborne pathogen training. The employer is now responsible for making sure that all of her or their employees are certified in bloodborne pathogens. That's not an obligation that the township would have to take on. So it's just not a matter of simply saying, well, we're just going to hire 10 Willingboro employees. There are a lot of additional things that come along with that. And, statistically, it has been presented to the township, I believe, prior, that financially it's going to cost you just as much to bring it in-house as it is to contract out for these services. So what would be the benefit of bringing on the additional liabilities and responsibilities that go along with that if you didn't have to?
Yeah, and I mean, if you want my opinion, I'm in full favor of doing it this way. I prefer people to build their businesses and be able to seek out governmental contracts. So I think this to me is a win-win, considering Councilwoman Perrone's request. But this is, if Councilwoman, if you want to know my opinion, this is my preference, is that a business comes in And I'm glad to see it's a Willingboro resident building her capacity as a business that, you know, will pay taxes in Willingboro. And I think it's good that we build our businesses instead of, you know, always hiring employees. I don't think anything's wrong with your suggestion, but I like to see our businesses scale up and be able to handle municipal contracts.
I thank you all three for your input, and it was helpful. However, I'm looking at this proposal resolution, and it doesn't say that the business company is going to only hire resident employees, whereby if it's a civil position, then that is their legal requirement. And the reason why the civil employee jobs are specifically designed that way is to concentrate to make sure money is spent within the township. So whereby even if that person, the company, is a resident of Willingboro, this document does not say we are only going to hire Willingboro residents. However, if they can word that in there, because they don't necessarily have to, because it's not a civil employee type of a position. And yes, Mr. Harris, when it comes to health benefits, that is a concern of mine as a sitting councilwoman. The residents of Willingboro, their health is important to me. Their means of being able to provide health for themselves and their family is important to me. So when I advocate for things like this is why. So for me, it's not, oh, it just costs the same as hiring this external company. For me, if it's the same, then forget the external company. Let's do it in-house. At least we have given the opportunity of people who live here, who pay taxes here for their children and their families to be able to have a means of living whereby they can afford health benefits. So if it's the same, if it's less or more, for me, it's more important that it's here in Willingboro. So with regards to what I'm looking at here on this document, it doesn't say that this company is only going to employ Willingboro residents. So is that something that can be amended? Or, and I know this is a contract, so is that something that I'm recommending or making a motion that we pull it? If they can add that to it, that's what I'm recommending. My proposal is to recommend that we pull it and ask them if it's important to the rest of council. I know I'm one voice, for that to be an important for them to hire only Willingboro residents. Now this may be a Mr. Taylor response, because I know I'm saying things that have to do with the contract.
Right.
So that's my, my spiel as far as a councilwoman. Is that something that can be done? Mr. Taylor, I guess is a question to you first before my motion.
Sure, and thank you, Councilwoman Perrone, and through the mayor. The answer is no. I don't believe legally that would be appropriate to require the vendor to only hire Willingboro residents. In many respects, that the only time that really is legal in municipal setting is for like police and fire fighters to be residents at the time of application, and for their initial hiring. There are some ordinances around the state that extend that period. You have employees like the township manager, et cetera, that contractually may be bound by that, but you can't you can encourage it, but you can't require it. So I'll stop there.
All right, so with that comment, see, again, we don't have control over that. And again, my passion is, again, it's Willingboro, the residents of Willingboro. And I know some of our positions, such as Mr. Taylor's position, you have to have a law degree and you have to have these special, requirements, but something like custodial, I feel that we can do that here. We can place that money towards people that actually live here. And because this company, we cannot require them to do that. I think it's something that we should do in making it a civil service position, whereby we are employing people who live here to work here, and the money is recycled. We take, but give back in different ways, right? In different ways. So what do you think about that? Now that we've heard from Mr. Taylor, it's not something that we can require them to do, but if they wanted to put that in there, Mr. Taylor, if they put it in the contract, real quick, if they put it in their contract that they will only employ Willingboro residents, is that something that they legally can do, or they cannot do that as a company? I don't know.
It's like a trick question, because arguably they could put it in there, but it's not something you can mandate. So why would they put it in there? So, I think that the question at hand is whether, it sounds as though the decision to outsource this service was made some time ago. And so now you have a vendor in place being recommended to provide the service. My recommendation would be to move forward with a vote on this particular service. And then if there is a desire and will of the body, the council, to consider bringing this service back in-house with full or part-time employees, you can do that in the future, but presumptively you need your buildings clean like tomorrow. So.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? Deputy Mayor Whitfield?
I think we've been through this exploring options with custodial a number of times in my time here on council. And I think I commend the administration for, seeking out or allowing, and I guess I commend our residents as well for answering the call for a Willingboro-based business to apply for some of the contracts that we have. And as Mr. Harris has stated, this business not only is a Willingboro business, but is also a woman-owned business, is also a minority-owned business, and is also employs 9 out of their 10 employees are Willingboro residents, which I think is commendable. If we go down a civil service route, as Mr. Harris also stated, it is not mandated that those residents have to live in Willingboro. If we don't get enough applications from Willingboro, we would go to the county, and then we would open it up to people to apply from across the state. So I think this is a great option. I commend this company for answering the call and putting in a bid for this contract. And I think it really supports the economic development of small businesses within Willingboro as we move forward to build a stronger economic base. Please call the question.
Well, I'm sorry you said that, Deputy Mayor. But I would like to say, based off what you said.
Please call the question.
Roll call, please.
I'm also considering.
Councilwoman Perrone.
Thank you. I'm also.
Councilwoman Perrone, is roll call.
Based off of what Deputy Mayor said, I do agree that this is another avenue.
Madam Clerk, you can go.
So
Councilwoman Worthy?
Yes.
Therefore,
Deputy Mayor Whitfield?
Yes.
I'm in agreement with.
And Mayor McIntosh?
Yes, for this company.
You can roll call Councilwoman Perrone again.
Councilwoman Perrone?
I was trying to speak, by the way. I think that's.
I called the question.
Rude. I think that's very rude. And if you want me to be quiet, then respect when I'm speaking. And like I said, Deputy Mayor, after you before you called the question, I did take in consideration what you said.
Councilwoman Perrone, respectfully, you are out of order.
Here's where, if we want this meeting to be appropriate, if you want to be appropriate, then please respect. Again, like I said, and I'm going to reiterate what I said.
All I'm saying is you're out of order, ma'am. That's all.
Based off of what Deputy Mayor said.
Madam Clerk, you can move on to the next resolution.
I'm going to still say what I have to say.
Mayor Council, there is no approval of
regardless of basically.
However, there are a few things that I need
based off what Deputy Mayor said, based off what Deputy Mayor said, based off what Deputy Mayor said. Based off what Deputy Mayor said, 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 based off what Deputy Mayor said.
Anyhow, there we received 5 applications for the cannabis
Based on what
application
Deputy Mayor
packets.
said, based
So
on
what
what
I
Deputy
need
Mayor
from
said,
you all,
based on what
Mayor
Deputy
and
Mayor said, based
the
on what
rest of
Deputy
council,
Mayor
is
said,
I need
based on
dates
what Deputy Mayor
that
said,
you all
again,
can
I'm
look
trying to
at
speak.
these packets
Again, I'm
and
trying
make
to speak
a
based on what
selection.
Deputy Mayor
So
said,
what I
again,
need
based
from
on what
you
Deputy
all
Mayor
is
said,
dates for
again,
you all to look at
Councilman,
the
again, Clerk, Madam Clerk,
application
again,
packet.
based off what
They are ready,
Deputy Mayor
and
said,
along with
again,
that,
Clerk, based off what
the
Deputy Mayor said,
2023
Clerk, again,
professionals
based off what
are
Deputy Mayor
in.
said, Clerk,
They'll
again,
be
based
ready
off
for
what
each
Deputy
one of
Mayor
y'all
said,
to
again,
pick up on
based off what Deputy
Monday.
Mayor said,
But what I
again,
need
Clerk,
from
based
you
off
all
what
as
Deputy
well
Mayor
is, do
said,
you
again,
want to
Clerk,
set up
based off what
interviews
Deputy
for the
Mayor said, again, Clerk,
2023
based off what Deputy Mayor said,
professionals?
again,
And
Clerk,
what would those dates be?
Clerk, again, I'm trying to speak based off what Deputy Mayor said. If I can complete my statement, I am in agreement to the custodial contract because they are residents of Willingboro, and that is a substitute to last year where it was $500,000 for a custodial contract. So for me, it is a yes. And unfortunately, if I could have gotten that out before all of this, this is sad. But again, there it is. Thank you.
So you need the selection for the dates for the professionals.
Well, for the cannabis.
The cannabis.
Right. Cannabis applications are in. We have 5. They'll be ready for you all to pick up on Monday. But what I need to know is, do you all want a special meeting to collaborate your decision on that? And the same thing for your 2023 professionals.
Okay, for the cannabis, there's no deadline for council's decision. There was no deadline put forth for council's decision on when we get back to the applicants.
No, the only thing that was set forth that you all wanted to have made a decision by, the beginning of the new year.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Perrone. What'd you say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Has the positions been posted for the professionals?
That's what Madam Clerk, we're talking about cannabis and we'll move to professionals right after cannabis.
She was interrupting me when I was speaking. So can she repeat what she said?
Well, can we wait a minute. For the cannabis, we did agree that we wanted to make a decision before the first meeting in January. Does that still stand? Are we interested in making a decision? We did get 5 applicants. Do we want to do that, or do we want to postpone? Because I know time is getting tight. Does anybody have a proposal for a date we would like to get together and discuss and possibly come to a decision?
Okay, so again, at our last meeting, I asked if we can get together to discuss the budget, and that's the meeting that we need to have. So if you want to do that on the same day, just want to make sure that I was going to bring it up in the old business. But we need to discuss as a council as far as the budget presentation.
Yes, I have that as old business too. So I do have that written down as old business.
Decide, as long as that can be a part of it, because I don't need to discuss cannabis. We need to discuss the whole township.
Okay, well, it's up to the full council.
Whatever date, right.
Well, we have applications that are pending, and our next meeting is
the 20th.
December 20th. I'm open for a meeting on December 19th, maybe the day before, so that.
And is this just for cannabis, this recommendation, or?
It would be a special meeting and we can set the agenda. So potentially, yes, it could have other topics on.
And some budget. So would you be open, the rest of the council, would you be open to budget items or conferring on what we would like to see for the budget? And I think that's going to take even more than one meeting, but.
Yeah, let me just be very clear, because that's what I was hoping that when we come up with this date. So in the past, since we've been on council, we've never sat and discussed the budget, what we've done.
Yes, we're open to that. That's what
Right,
we're doing.
so just so I can be clear, so just don't interrupt me again, please.
No, I'm not interrupting you. I'm running this
See,
meeting.
when
I'm
you
not
interrupt
interrupting
me-
you, but
when
we
you
understand that you
interrupt
keep
me- when you
reiterating
interrupt
stuff that we
me-
already
When
understand.
you interrupt me, it disturbs what I'm saying, okay? And I'm gonna say it again, okay? I'm gonna say it
Okay,
again.
and you can't force
Right,
my
I'm
to
gonna say
keep
it again,
hearing what you keep saying,
please,
so.
please, again, please. I listen to all of you. What I'm saying is, in the past 3 years, I'm gonna go past 3 years, we've listened to budget presentations from different departments. What we have not done is collaboratively, the 5 of us actually present what we're looking for as far as for the township and as it relates to the budget, and actually listen to each other. So what I'm saying is, you want to discuss cannabis, I'm okay with that. But whatever date you pick, that I'm saying, based off our last meeting, if we can incorporate that on the same day. So that means we all.
And that's what we just
present.
said. What did we
That's
just
I'm
say differently?
So, because Madam Clerk was confused and she said, is it only for cannabis?
No, and
we
Deputy
just
Mayor
said
just
that.
answered her.
But she said, is it only for cannabis?
It was a
And I said,
question.
no, I said, yes, we can add budget discussion on that meeting. You're not listening.
Okay, not just budget discussion, council's budget. So that
And
means
that is
all of
what the
council-
mayor just added after I stated, yes, budget discussion can be
Okay.
added. The mayor said, yes, it would likely take more than one conversation, but yes, it would be good for the council to discuss what we want to see in the budget on that same day. And then you just go into a tangent. I don't understand what's.
She was confused. I wanted to make sure that she understood and it wasn't confused.
He's not confused. No one was confused.
Well, now that we're all on the same page, that's fine. So we're good. Whatever, I'm good. I'm okay with any date, as a matter of fact. So the 19th is fine for me.
Dr. Worthy, are you available that day?
Yes, I'm available December 19th.
Okay.
And
All
what
right, we can
time?
We'll probably do that. We'll start at 6.
So would that be, I was asking that question because professionals is coming up next.
Right. So yeah, so
So,
the cannabis and council budget discussion, or budget, budget discussion at first, and then we'll have a presentation probably later than that. But then we do have professionals. It's hard to make that determination because I don't think anyone saw what we have and what's been filled and how many professionals have been presented. So I don't know if this is a conversation for now or executive, Mr. Taylor. Because some I think we only got one person in. So do we want to go forward or put back out?
right, but the reason why I was asking the question, so yes, you'll find out, you have your packets on, your packets will be ready for pickup on Monday, but from that, then you have to determine whether or not you want to do interviews.
Yes, we want to do interviews. However, Monday, I guess the question is, I did want to talk to council as to whether we want to send back out.
Madam Mayor, may I suggest that you discuss that in closed executive session
Okay,
as
thank you.
potential contract negotiations,
Okay.
as well as attorney-client privilege information I want to share with you
Okay.
regarding procedural and procurement issues.
Okay. Is everybody okay? So we'll have the discussion about professionals, but are we all in agreement that we want to interview all professionals or the professionals that we don't know? Because there's some that we know and we've been working with for years that we want to.
Mayor, I'm sorry to cut you off. May I just suggest that we kind of postpone this conversation?
For executive.
Exactly. And then we can come back out and you can share whatever you may need or want to after that.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, was there anything else? I'm sorry.
Yes, Mayor, the treasurer, I need a motion to approve the treasurer report. I had left that out.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Whitfield, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Okay, and the only other thing I had was for Councilwoman Perone. I know you picked up some certificates. We still have a few more for you that wasn't in that packet that you picked up.
Yes, I did notice that. So I'll just wait to the next meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Back to you, Mayor.
We did approval of minutes already?
No, there was no
There was no minutes. Okay.
right. There would be on December the 20th.
Okay. And Councilwoman Perone, you wanted to wait until you got all the certificates of appreciation? Okay.
Thank you.
So Madam Clerk, can you just make sure that's noted? So that for the next meeting? Other than that, is there any other unfinished business that anyone wants to bring up? Dr. Worthy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to remind the council and also the public about the teen night. Council supported the Willingboro Youth Advisory Committee to host the teen night in the gym this Friday so that it's a full family experience with the younger students in the Jingle Jangle Jam and the teens down in the gym. So thank you again, council, for the support for that. The administration's been working along with the chair of the Youth Advisory Committee, Claudine Archer. Today's her birthday. Happy birthday, Claudine. And so they're putting together a nice event for the teens so we can have something for them. They'll have food, games, karaoke. They'll have some gifts down there as well. So I just want to say thank you to the council and provide that update as well, that the teen night is scheduled for Friday.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Worthy. Any other unfinished business?
Just real quick, I think I might have seen it already on Facebook, but what time is the teen night? Councilman Worthy?
Yes, it's running concurrently with the Jingle Jangle Jam. So it's 6 to 9 p.m. also.
Okay, and it's just like a festival? Is it just, or is it like a presentation?
Neither. It's similar to the Jingle Jangle Jam for the younger kids. The teens, they did this last year. They had games, they had music. They came together, just a gathering for them with food, similar to the Jingle Jangle Jam, but a version that the teens wanted to have for their gathering.
Okay, at the JFK Center?
Yes, in the gym.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any new business from council? All right, we'll move on to public comment. Public comment is now open for any questions. You have 4 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
All right, Will Weston.
Yes, good evening, council. This is William Weston, 44 Bosworth Lane. Yeah, and just some statements. From my understanding, this meeting is under Robert's rules. And so discussion and disagreement are fine, but when the chair and rules are ignored, it appears very rude from those watching. And the meeting is not as productive or efficient. And, you know, it's a bad look if somebody tries to hijack the meeting. Now I'm just going to move to July 4th. I have more to say, but I'm going to cut there. So July 4th, this is not a totalitarian community. You know, we are democracy and we talk about independence, right? So if we have fireworks or not, if we have an event or not for the 4th, it's not wrong or right. There's no wrong or right there. And in previous meetings, when the directors presented, they were requesting money for their budgets and they would just request. Excuse me. I also think it would be beneficial to know all the events for the year and that the event committee would like to have so you can see what's going to be done in the future budget and be able to try to predict and know what all the events are, because we got Veterans Day, Juneteenth, Mill Creek's 50th, potentially the 4th, and possibly others. I want the best for our community. I'm glad we're having more events. I also salute the council for having more events and slightly lowering the tax rate at the same time. But with the more events, it'll be harder to do that. It'll be harder to keep the tax rate down the more things we institute. Initially, this was about fireworks for the 4th of July, but the 4th of July is the peak season, so it was expensive. So the compromise was to move that to Juneteenth, and however the council votes. But I'll leave with this. It's Kwanzaa season, and I believe the Kwanzaa principles should be practiced all year round. And it kind of was done with the renaming of Veterans Parkway with Kujichagulia, and self-determination to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weston.
All right, Beulah Williams.
Ms. Williams, I think you're still muted.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Manager, and everyone. I'm from 8 Boston Circle. I appreciate this forum. And I want to thank Ms. Blygen, Dr. Worthy, Ms. Foster, Dr. Worthy, and all the veterans, the proud veterans that serve our community. So I'm not under any impression that you don't appreciate and recognize the 4th of July. You served your country valiantly, and I appreciate your service. From ex-husband who we were married for over 24 years, and he was a veteran as well. So our children grew up appreciating the service of our veterans. So again, veterans hold a dear part in our lives, and we appreciate all your service. So some of this back and forth, I don't think was necessary, because we know you're patriotic. We know that. Thank you. So I want to thank the manager and council for pursuing the grants. Good news. I appreciated all the report that our manager shared with us today. We're moving along. Forward march. Thank you so much for all you're doing. Thanks the police department for their applying for the grant and receiving it. I think we have awesome police force in Willingboro. We appreciate the service of Captain Donofrio, and we say Godspeed as he pursues another phase of his service to his country. Our community service events, we thank council for supporting. Again, we thank Ms. Perone. We thank Officer Landrum. We thank our valiant and firefighters who came, and they had to leave before they even got a meal, but they came anyway. Thank you to them very much. I don't think the police and the fire department get enough credit. They put their lives on the line to keep us safe, and kudos to them. We appreciate them very much. Okay. We had an event on Saturday, and to our surprise, our lovely mayor and deputy mayor showed up, and we appreciate them very much. They engaged the presenters, asked questions, and our mayor is sharp too, because there were people talking about service going abroad, and she brought us right back to she says, well, there's much work to be done in Willingboro, and you want to serve, I can introduce you to different areas where you can be of service to your Willingboro community. I said, wow, you go, Mayor, you go. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. And I like what our the previous gentleman said, that it puts us in a bad light when we don't we don't respect each other, and we're saying, listen to me. Well, the listening goes both ways, and there has to be a right and a wrong way of conducting ourselves. And when we act like children.
Ms. Williams, your time is up.
Sorry. Yeah, it's counterproductive. Bad behavior is counterproductive. So may God help us. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
All right, Tarina Williams.
Good evening, everyone. Tarina Williams, 8 Botany Circle. In continuation to what my mom just said, it's very important that we are mindful of what we say and what we do during these meetings. Dr. Worthy prayed a beautiful prayer in the beginning, asking that, God control things. So when we say certain things, it doesn't make us look good as a whole. We're a body of many parts, so we must be respectful one to another. And when we say things, we can't take it back. In doing so, I don't want to lose this opportunity to say thank you all for your service. Thank you, Ms. Blygen, for sending out the flyer for our Stewardship Day to the council. As always, we always have someone taking out their time that they could have spent at home or at another event. Mayor McIntosh and Deputy Mayor Whitfield, we greatly appreciate you coming to our Stewardship Day. We know that everyone cannot always be there, but we're grateful that there's always at least one person that comes to Willingboro SDA Church's community service events. People are in awe, like, wow, our mayor and deputy mayor are here at our Stewardship Day workshop. So we just want to say thank you very much for coming out. This Saturday coming will be our music day, where we'll be celebrating Jesus and different items of music. So we just want to say, extend a special invitation if you can come, or if you just want to log on and enjoy the music from home. I'm trying to remember. There's so many people to thank, which my mom, I think, already covered, but I greatly appreciate the dedicated service of our now retired Captain Donna Frio. Will be greatly missed, but we have a great police department who we greatly appreciate. Thank you, Chief Burnett, for applying for that grant. I'm so grateful and excited that we received it. So much good news and achievements that our township is giving. I really wish that we could bring Action News and other media so that this could be acknowledged. But congratulations, everyone, and God bless you for your dedicated service.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
All right, Ariane Nixon.
Thank you. I don't get the option. I've used Zoom in the past. I'm an educator, but for some reason on this meeting, I think someone has to give me permission to be able to speak.
Okay.
So I was able to, be unmuted. Thank you again. I just wanted to follow up and just ask if there is any way that we could make sure that our residents are, and those who come from outside of the community to come and partake in these awesome activities that take place at the recreation center. And I would like for everybody, including myself, to feel safe when we leave our cars to come into the facility and then walking back out. It's just, we feel, uneasy. And I just feel like when you have so much going on for the safety of the residents and again, others that come to these functions, that it needs to be a well-lit parking lot.
All right, thank you for your feedback. We will get a response after we get all public comment.
Ms. Nixon, what was your address again?
50 Princeton Lane.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Is there any other public comment? I see Miss Holly, Miss Mallory. I just see Miss Mallory. She keeps popping in and off, but I will make sure we get Miss Mallory because I do see her popping in.
All right, let's get Miss Maddie Mallory.
Miss Mallory, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. You're not muted, but I can't hear you. You're speaking, we still can't hear you. Unmuted, but we can't hear. I don't know if there's a volume you can turn up or. Keep Miss Mallory in queue and then go to Miss Holly.
Sarah Holly again, 9 Tioga Lane. So I just want to respond to Mr. Harris' comment about the redemption program and cutting the grass and boarding up vacant homes. I've been in town for over 40 years. We've always said that program. I don't know that it was called redemption program, but we've always had that. But that's something different from the roof. So I know you already explained that that was not going to be happening anymore, which is fine. But the redemption program, as you call it, with the cutting grass for vacant homes and boarding up vacant homes, we've always had that program in town, whatever you call it. My other comment, I think the last time I was on, and it's been a while, I had a question about the rental of space over at JFK. Now, I was told that, these space over there, they're paying $300 a month. So I, of course, you know me, I've been calling around other areas. No one can rent a space to run a business for $300 a month in Burlington County. So basically, the taxpayers of Willingboro are supplementing someone's business. And I don't think that's right. And as Mayor McIntosh called me out at an event when Mayor Ras Baraka was here, it's not that I don't want to pay taxes. I just want to make sure that our tax dollars are being spent well. And I do not want to supplement anyone else's income. Where's my minutes, Miss Township Clerk? I don't see my time. I'm the only one that I can't see the time. Yeah, okay. So I don't want to supplement anyone else's business, and that's my comment. So I'm looking forward to Mr. Harris letting me know if there's been an increase in the amount of money that these businesses are paying. And I understand that some of these people have businesses and they don't even live in town. So you live someplace else and I'm a Willingboro resident and I'm supplementing your business. That's a problem. And I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holly. While we're waiting for other people, Mr. Harris, I did want to acknowledge the some of the questions that are in the Q&A. We have a Natasha D. And if Miss Natasha's on the line, please, we need your address, name and address. And she's saying in reference to the street lights, who is the appropriate contact? Okay, she's on. Well, who's the appropriate contact to have lights repaired? Public Works or PSE&G. We also have Victoria Goins on Edgemont Lane. How is the township addressing the ongoing problem of late trash pickups? And then we had Miss Ariane Nixon who expressed her concerns online. And I see that we have Natasha D.
Yes, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, my name is Natasha Dees. 4 Buckeye Lane is my address. And I know it was mentioned about the lights at the JFK Center. So I just wanted to know, I am a new Willingboro resident as of February of this year, and just wanted to confirm who is the appropriate contact. There are street lights on my street that are out. And I just wasn't sure if it was Public Works or PSE&G, who is the appropriate contact to have those replaced, the bulbs replaced, I'm assuming.
Okay.
Thank you.
We appreciate your question. Thank you. And we'll answer it as soon as we complete public comment. Is there anyone else for public comment?
Yeah, let's try Miss Maddie Mallory.
Mallory, yes. Miss Mallory, still can't hear you. Sean, is there some adjustment that may be preventing Miss Mallory from being heard on this Zoom?
It depends on like what device is being used, but normally in Zoom the application, they could do a microphone and a speaker test. That could help out a lot.
All right, while we're waiting for Miss Mallory, we can go to a phone number ending 8464. And Miss Mallory, if you would like, you can also type in the Q&A if you're still having trouble.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, Maddie Mallory. I don't know what's going
you're
on
in.
with my
Okay.
computer, but I'm on the phone.
Okay.
Just wanted to comment about the 4th of July. I've lived here 50 years, and I remember when we had a great 4th of July event, parade and everything. And we had churches that participated. My church always had a float. And, we had a lot of bands and other things, not only from Willingboro, but from surrounding areas, and terminated with fireworks. And we do live in America. So as they say, you do as the Americans do. And I think that this is something that we should definitely think about seriously as to what we want to do for the 4th of July parade. The other thing that I want to make a comment about is a suggestion that moving forward, when we appoint individuals to serve on different commissions, and specifically I'm going to address the WMUA, I think that we should be aware of the fact that we have people that serve on the WMUA that are delinquent in their water bills. And, you know, I'm not just talking off the top of my head. I have evidence that this is one of the cases especially. So if we're going to appoint people to the WMUA especially, and they are delinquent with their water bills, that's not a good example for the rest of us. So just something to think about when we are, you know, making these appointments, and just be aware of what's going on as far as, you know, these kinds of things. And on that note, I'll say have a good Christmas, and that's my comments for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Mallory. Is there anyone else for public comment? Public comment is now closed. Mr. Harris?
Yes, Mayor. So Ms. Ariana Nixon did comment about the lights at JFK. That is a situation that we are aware of. Our DPW has gone out and actually changed all of the bulbs in those lights, and they're being further investigated. We believe that there may be some lighting issues related to some of the outages. It is very dark. I agree with what Ms. Nixon is saying. I'm going to ask DPW to deploy our portable lights into that area to kind of light up that area until we can get the bigger lighter problem solved. And we'll ask the police department to kind of step up patrols in that area during the evening hours, especially when patrons are exiting the JFK Center around 8:00 p.m. Miss Mallory, Miss Holly had asked about the rents at JFK. We have reviewed the rents at JFK, and we will be making recommendations to the council to be making adjustments to those rents. They will be presented to you in the fee ordinance, which should be coming your way in the next couple of days for introduction, probably at our next council meeting. Ms. Natasha D did question lights. If there are street lights out, the first point of contact could be PSC&G. There is a link to their site on our website. It would be good if you had the poll number to include along with the location, and they've been pretty responsive coming and taking care of that situation. But you can also let our office know, and we will support the notification of them as well. Miss Victoria Gowans, I think it is the names. She had a question about late trash pickups. If her trash has been missed, then we ask that she just leave it out and notify our Public Works Department, and we will follow up and see about them coming to collect that trash. Our trash collection has been pretty good lately, so I don't know we have an issue with missed trash collections or I won't say late pickups. There are one-offs, but overall our trash collection has been pretty on point. But again, if there's any specific issue, please feel free to contact either our office or Public Works, and we will look into it and address it. I think those were the only comments that required an answer from me, unless I missed something, Mayor.
No, I think you guys was really the safety, the lighting safety. I think you addressed everything. Anything that was missed that council heard? Okay. I appreciate it, Mr. Harris.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to move on to council comments. Any council have any closing comments? Councilwoman Perone? Only because you unmuted.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to respond. First, I want to thank Ms. Mallory for speaking about the July 4th. And that I want to say thank you for that. In regards to the parliamentary procedures, as one of the persons spoke about, the resident spoke, he is correct, there's parliamentary procedure, but I want you also to be understood that parliamentary procedure means that the facilitator, in which our case is the mayor. So the mayor is to facilitate the meeting. That is one component of her responsibility. And therefore, if a person is speaking, that means that person has the floor. Therefore, no individual should begin to talk. If any individual begins to talk, then that disrupts the order. And so in my case, as you saw, I'm speaking. I was speaking, and several people started speaking. Deputy mayor, solicitor started speaking, and it does not matter your title. You could be the solicitor, the township manager, the deputy mayor. It does not matter. Unless the mayor calls you to the floor, that you now have the floor, that is the only time you're allowed to speak. So at any time when the order is disrupted, yes, I will continue speaking. I don't care if it's the clerk. I don't care if it's a township manager. I don't care if it's a solicitor. Respect the person that is speaking. And that is why we are governed by the Robert's Rules of Order. And yes, I have the book. I know the order. So understand, anytime, so I can be clear, anytime that I'm speaking, if others begin to speak, that means the order has been disrupted. And if the mayor does not create order and create censure, then I'm going to continue to speak until she or he creates that order. So recognize that three sitting council members have been elected to this seat as friends. Yes, that is the deputy mayor, the mayor, and Councilwoman Worthy. That means they are friends. So therefore, when we have these meetings, and it seems like it's disorderly, but it's girlfriends. And I'm not a part of the three. Okay, so when I'm speaking about things like July 4th or custodial or employees, I'm on the outs. So therefore, yes, the deputy mayor will start speaking when I'm talking, and the mayor will not shut her down. Why? Because they're friends. And that is where there's a disturbance on council. When you have friends that are elected and sitting on council, and the council is a council of 5, the majority is 3, you do the math. I'm gonna have trouble. Because what I'm speaking about is the 4th of July. It's not my birthday. My birthday is June 7th, if you want to send me a birthday gift. Okay? I'm speaking about things for the community. And why am I interrupted? Because I'm not part of the friend group. Okay? I don't care if the solicitor begins to start, can I interrupt? No, you can only interrupt when there's a legal matter. If I'm speaking about contracts or something, employees, then you can interrupt me. Other than that, as far as my experience, interrupting me just to help the 3, because now we have contracts into play for who's going to be voted to be the next. I'm not playing that game. I see the whole game and I'm not having it. Yes, I'm not having it. So yes, you may see it as Why is she speaking? Oh my God, let's all be friends. No, we're not all friends. We are elected individually.
Councilwoman Perone, your time is up.
Thank you. And just so you know, record and put what I said. Thank you.
Does anyone else have council comment?
I do, Mayor.
Okay, Council Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
First, I'd just like to thank all of the residents that came out this evening and shared their thoughts on public comment. I appreciate your engagement. And as an elected official, I hear you, and I make it a point to also follow Robert's Rules of Order. I too have the book, the cheat guide, the unabridged version, the abridged version. I actually have all of the documents so that I'm up to date. And I did call a point of order. So I was in line, which Councilwoman Perone, you have called point of order many times in order to interrupt a conversation or state your point. Point of order is a legal tool that is used in Robert's Rules of Order to get the meeting back on track. And I think I used it appropriately this evening. I'd also like to say thank you to the administration and all of the employees that were involved in the tree lighting event that just happened recently. It was a beautiful event. I heard feedback from a visitor to our town that said it looked like a Hallmark movie when we were out there. So it really was a nice event. Thank you to Delaware Valley Church, who sang, and also the Hawthorne Park Choir for 2nd and 3rd grade. Miss Divine, or as we called her that night, Mariah, you sang beautifully. And you know, I'm sorry that they cut you off a little early, but I hope that all of the children continue to be engaged and involved in Willingboro events. And it was just a beautiful event to see everyone come together to celebrate the reason for the season and all of the holidays that are upon us this month. I look forward to Jingle Jangle Jam and the teen night, and also keep your eye out this weekend for the Santa run. You may see the mayor, myself, and maybe some other elected officials on the fire trucks or around town as the holiday season progresses. So thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I would just like to say thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I do appreciate the feedback. As you know, as the mid staff does their work, the residents, you still are, you know, part of the eyes and ears for this township. So I appreciate the updates on, you know, especially the lighting, any street repairs or anything like that, including trash, all of it. Thank you for tuning in and giving us the feedback. So I just really do appreciate that. Also, if anyone has questions for any council members or how these meetings are run, you can gain context of prior meetings. They're on, I guess they're YouTube now, if I'm correct, Mr. Harris. They are on Facebook, YouTube, our website, just so you can get an understanding on what the council does and what we do accomplish throughout the year. There were some allegations this evening, but I you know, make your own discernment, go back and check out previous council meetings to see that, you know, we've been accused of just being friends, but we are professionals. We're professionals, we're elected officials, and we take this job very seriously. And again, make your own decision based on previous council meetings and also what you see going on around town and as you interact with us collectively and individually. I do hope to see everybody this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Friday especially. Make sure you do register. If you plan on going, make sure you do register tomorrow so that we can have a good count or expectation on who's going to be there. So if you have not registered, please go on our recreation website and register for these events. Our next meeting is December 20th. We will have a special meeting, a special meeting on the 19th for discussions on cannabis. I believe it will be an executive session anyway, though. Also, our next full meeting will be December 20th. And I appreciate everyone coming out. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Madam Clerk.
Resolution 2022-195, 195, resolution authorizing executive session. I need a motion, please.
Just, Madam Clerk, can you just add that the purpose of the closed session is to discuss matters of personnel, attorney-client privilege, pending and/or anticipated litigation, as well as procurement and contract negotiations matters, and minutes will be kept and released to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists, and action may be taken by the council when it reconvenes in public session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I need a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perrone, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perrone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
I believe everyone have the executive session information.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. It's here.
I need a motion to come out of executive session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Whitfield, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Need a,
Oh, go ahead, Madam Clerk.
need a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Deputy Mayor Whitfield, seconded by Mayor McIntosh. Roll call.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No. Okay, thank
It
you.
is 10:36. We are adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Willenboro.